Me and Kayla Malik just weren't close friends.
That he did the worst things a human could possibly do, and then you went and DM'd him and formed a friendship with, believed everything that came out of his mouth, but not mine.
I'm not physically attracted to older guys, which sucks. Like, I would date like the absolute youngest.
Well, I'm sure by now everybody knows about the situation with me and James, and everybody has told their side of the story except me. That a close friend of mine had basically really over in ways I could have never expected, and I got sent proof.
But the only person involved in this that actually matters and needs to hear the truth, and that's Kayla Malik.
Kayla Malik is telling her story about what happened between her and her ex-boyfriend, Evan Johnson, and why James Charles is involved. Now, if you don't know who Kayla Malik is, she is a beautiful lady on TikTok who is only 20 years old, and she has millions of followers, and she is most renowned for her freckles. Yes, she has cute little freckles on her face, but when she does her makeup, she covers them up with foundation, but then re-adds them in various bold ways. And that is what she is most known for. Kayla has recently gone through a very traumatic experience. Now, at this point in the video, I'm going to put a trigger warning in because it is going to contain some alleged DV. I've got to use that language because of YouTube's rules. Now, because I'm in Europe, this video may still get demonetized, it may get age restricted, or both of those things may happen. But at the end of the day, the point of making this video is so that Kayla's story gets spread far and wide, because at the end of the day, she was the victim here. She was in an abusive relationship with her now ex-boyfriend, but then she got abused in other ways by her so-called friend. And that's where James Charles comes into the picture. Mind you, he's no stranger to controversy, is he? He's always putting out videos saying, "I'm sorry."
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. First and foremost, I need to say sorry.
Listen, I get it. If your name's being slandered and you want to clock that, clock it. I get it. But to do it an hour after I win the court case is crazy, in my opinion. Here's a 10-minute video, and all my comments are now flooded with, "Did you see James's new video?" You couldn't even wait till the fucking 8th?
Let's put what some of Kayla has just said there into perspective, because James Charles knew about the relationship. He knew they had broken up, and Kayla also sent him some text messages regarding the abuse. So for him to put out a response video addressing all of this and standing up for Kayla 1 hour after she has successfully won her court case against Evan is absolutely disgusting. But then it's typical James Charles behaviour, because he always has to turn the narrative towards himself, and that is exactly what he did.
I find it interesting, though, that James posted conversation receipts with everybody. Me, a clip from my sister's live stream, like everybody's receipts except for his Instagram DMs with my ex-boyfriend, if they're not already deleted. And also, I do think it is fishy to create such a friendship with somebody off of being attracted to them.
When Kayla and Evan were together, James would send messages to Kayla saying how hot Evan was, which I think is extremely weird. James Charles made a joke out of it though, but was it a joke? Well, with what's going to come up later, I would have to say No, it wasn't a joke. James Charles fancied the pants off of Evan. Taylor and James weren't friends in the sense of they spent a lot of time together. She had only come into contact with James on 3 occasions.
So to start off, I would not consider me and James to be best friends at all. I don't even think I'd consider us close friends. We've collabed a few times. I went over to his house, what was that, like 9 months ago to help him promote his company on live stream. We would text here and there about certain things, but it was definitely not like we were best friends. I like trying to put this into like it's kind of like that one person that's in your class at school that you're like mutuals with. Y'all are like acquaintances. Like we were acquaintances. But I don't think that excuses anything that happens in my opinion, but that's the best way to describe it. We definitely were not best friends. We were not that close, but we were acquaintances.
Even though you're not close friends, I don't think it's morally right for James Charles to then want to get with Evan. More about that is going to come about later on in this video.
But this all starts almost immediately when I made me and Evan's relationship public on TikTok. So I had posted a video with Evan next to me, and me and James have never DM'd on TikTok. The only previous messages we had on TikTok was us collab posting from when we would film together when I started my Glow Up series, like I was just talking about. And he like sends me my video. I don't know how you do it. Like he sent me the video, and then under it he said, "Girl, who is this?" And I was like, "Oh, this new guy that I met. I think I'm in love. Ha 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 ha." Then a month and a half later, he slides up on another video of me and Evan together. We have not DM'd on TikTok since this. And it's a video of us dancing together at Yosemite, and James slides up and says, "Girl, he's so hot." And I'm just like, haha, yeah, whatever.
James Charles has been called out a few times and lost hundreds of thousands of subscribers because he thinks it's a fun game to talk to men who are straight and to try and win them over. And he doesn't seem to care about their age. And from his own words, he prefers them to be younger as opposed to older.
I'm not physically attracted to older guys, which sucks. Like, I would date, like, the absolute youngest.
And Evan get invited to a birthday party, and to their surprise, they arrive. James Charles is there.
So fast forward to October, and me, Evan, Emma, and Brennan all get invited to a birthday party. We get there, and lo and behold, James is there. And Evan and James have not met at this point, obviously. The only thing that's been said is how hot James thinks Evan is, which is like, fine, whatever. So I see James, I say hi to him, and I introduce them to each other. And they're just talking for a fat minute. I don't know what really they were talking about. I wasn't really in the conversation. I was talking to Lila. I was talking to my other friends. I wasn't really in the conversation.
Kayla and Evan go on a trip to Hawaii, which is a trip that Kayla has paid for. In fact, she even admitted on a podcast that she paid for everything. She paid his car payment, she paid his rent, she paid for every trip they went on.
I've paid his car payments. I've paid his rent.
You paid his car?
Yes, his car was about to get repoed. I sent him $2,000.
Kayla. You paid his rent? No, you didn't.
I've paid for everything. I have paid for everything in that man's life.
You paid for his rent?
His roommate was asking for help because I was like, I felt bad. I felt bad.
You were just like
Manipulation and
but
scared.
you were financially supporting this guy
For our whole relationship.
But on this trip to Hawaii, they actually split up, and it's also where Evan invites James Charles to join them in Hawaii.
Now from December, it's January, and me, Brennan, Emma, and my boyfriend are in Hawaii, and this was the trip that we ended up breaking up, and all of that shit happened. It's about the third night that we're there, and I don't know if I'm allowed to include this. I'm going to anyways, but we're all sitting on the balcony of our Airbnb talking, and Evan starts saying that James is DMing him on Instagram. And immediately I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you DMing James? Like, immediately I'm just like, fuck no. Like, you're not going to do that. That's weird in my opinion. And at this point, our relationship was basically already over. And even Brennan was like, and Emma were like, what the fuck are you doing? Why are you DMing him on Instagram? So we look over at the phone and Evan sends James a picture on Instagram. So like, you know how you snap on Snapchat, like doing that on Instagram, like sending pictures back and forth. And Evan is like, you should go to Hawaii with us. And James sends back this saying like, why should I come to Hawaii? And that for the first time is when I was like, what the fuck?
Evan puts out a video of his own where he is trying to manipulate the situation.
The 9 months we were together, she said the whole 9 months I was out. Right? Why would we go out all the time and do all these crazy adventurous stuff if the whole time it was just terrible? If I was such this terrible guy, why would she be with me? She could have left me at any second. She's way more up there than me. She's has more money. Like, all this stuff, she don't need me. She don't need me. And if she figured I was no good for her in the time being, she would have left immediately. I promise you that.
James is inviting the two of them to do a Wednesday collaboration, and Kayla says, well, that's not going to happen because we've broken up. And she tells James of the way she was treated by Evan. And the first thing James says is, well, I have him now then. Absolutely outrageous, not funny in the slightest. And why on earth would you even say that?
So fast forward literally 2 weeks past this, me and Evan have broken up. And literally the day after we break up, James texts me. And he basically is asking me and Evan to be a part of this painted commercial video. And it was supposed to be like me and Evan, and it was like a couple thing, and it was for Valentine's Day. So I respond, and I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, but we just broke up, ha ha ha. So I text James that we have broken up, and basically the first thing he says in response is, can I have him now? Just responds, can I have him now? And then was like, ha ha ha, just kidding, what happened? So yeah, do you want to be in a painted video with your man? I explained that we broke up. I was going to do a 30-part series. And mind you, he is the only person that I told, because this is a day after we officially broke up, he is the only person I told about a, quote, 30-part series that I was going to film about what I had went through. He goes, what? I go, girl, he's fucking crazy. And then there we go. What happened? Can I have him now? Once again, didn't really think much of it, but my senses were a little bit heightened now after the whole Hawaii Instagram DMing situation, but whatever. Then tell him, imagine the worst things a human can do. It would take hours to text, but you'll see this series soon. He then asks again about if I'm actually doing a series, which I'll explain why that has a lot to do with more going on. But he asks again about the series, then says, I'm sorry. And I go, oh, just wait. I gave this man a platform based off his lies and abuse. I'm gonna wait to heal from it and then clock it, which I did do. And then he goes, shit, I'm sorry, Kayla. And I said, you're good. Thank you. So that was the last time we texted until he flew Evan out to California. But in these, I made it pretty clear that Evan had fucked me over. I brought up abuse, the worst thing a human can do.
James goes behind Kayla's back and tells Evan about this series. After everything that's gone down, James Charles invites Evan to come and stay at his house. Sick. Beyond sick.
This all started at the beginning of 2025 when I reached out to Kayla about her and Evan being in a Valentine's Day video together. She told me she couldn't, she was crashing out because they had just broken up because he was crazy. I tried to lighten the mood a little bit and make a lighthearted joke asking could I have him now, and then asked what actually happened between them. All she told me was that he did awful things to her and that I would find out more in her 30-part TikTok series. She said she was upset that she helped build his platform based off of lies and abuse, and whenever she was healed, she was going to get online and expose him. I really fucking hate to admit it, but I did have a brief friendship with Evan Johnson that started and ended well before I ever learned about any of the violence that was going on behind the scenes. But it wasn't until a month later, when Kayla uploaded her video, He Doesn't Love You, that I actually got to sit and watch how much of a monster he is. My jaw was on the floor for all 2 hours of that video. I could not believe what I was watching and seeing. The horrendous verbal abuse, the violent physical abuse. I was shocked. I was ashamed for not taking me and Kayla's conversation more seriously. I was embarrassed for ever believing that man's lies and manipulation. And I was angry with myself that I ever allowed that man into my home. It was horrifying. And I'm so proud of Kayla for being able to speak up.
Still healing, okay? But I'm scrolling on Snapchat and I see that Evan had posted a Snapchat in the exact area that James lives, in a backyard that looked identical to James's backyard. And immediately I was like, there's no fucking way. Because this was about a month after I had been told that they were DMing. Why are y'all DMing for a fucking month? The fuck? I text James, and mind you, the last time that we texted was me telling him that we broke up, okay? I text him on March 1st saying, this is so random, hope you're doing good. Are you with Evan? He says, what? Your ex Evan? Doesn't say yes, doesn't say no. I said, yes, posted a picture, looked like your backyard. He goes, why would Evan be in my backyard? Later to find out that he was in his backyard and that James had flown him out to California, spent the entire fucking weekend together. And honestly, if you knew you weren't doing anything wrong, why didn't you just straight up answer my fucking question and say, yeah, he's here, we're friends? Like, And in James's video, he was saying that, oh, well, he seemed depressed and sad and like he needed a friend. I have a lot to say about that, but first thing, if you're just being there for a friend and that you think he's a good person, why do you feel the need to have to lie to me about it? Why do you feel the need to have to lie to me about it? If you truly don't think you're doing anything wrong, why did you lie? Why did you lie about it? And then also keep it such a secret. Second off, you're being there for a quote friend that is your ex or your friends, acquaintances, ex-boyfriend that I told you was abusive. Like, what the fuck? It's just like, moral of the story is like, you obviously knew you were doing something fucking wrong if you had to lie to me about it, you know? So that entire weekend that they're together, I drive past James's house to see if I could see anything because I was like, I need fucking proof. Like, I know they're together, but I need proof because I'm so pissed. Obviously, don't see anything. And at this point, I'm just, I don't know what's going on. I have no proof, but I have a gut feeling that they are together, that they are hanging out. Fast forward another month. Me and James do not text. Nobody ever comes clean about anything. Nobody says anything, nothing. I release my he doesn't love you, and I talk about everything that he had done to me. And me and James still are not talking. He still does not text me and say, hey, I'm sorry, doesn't try to explain himself, nothing. And in my opinion, that's because he didn't think he'd get caught. He didn't think I'd find out, so he had no reason to tell me firsthand. And that's why this shit really pisses me off. I end up texting James, asking to FaceTime for a segment on my podcast because Jacob had this funny idea that we were going to FaceTime James and James is going to be like, ew, Jacob, and then like hang up. It was supposed to be like this funny bit. I could include screenshots. Literally the next text, a month later, after me asking if he had flown my ex-boyfriend out, I literally just say, hey, totally normal conversation. He does not bring it up, nothing. At this point, I don't have proof to back up my theory, so cool, whatever. But yeah, he doesn't say anything, acts like everything is normal. So then it is Coachella weekend, a couple weeks later, and a video is posted exposing James to have flown my ex-boyfriend out to California. The second that this video goes public, James starts to blow up my phone, asking if I'm at Coachella, saying that we need to talk. I immediately already knew what he was talking about. Are you at Coachella? Yeah, I am. Can I talk to you? I shut it down. I don't want to fucking talk to you. He says, I felt guilty for weeks and I didn't know how to tell you and I owe the truth. I explain it to you from my mouth, not the Zach guy, and then you can feel however you want to. To me, it's quite ironic that you suddenly feel guilty about this the second that it's made public. You know what I mean? Like, you suddenly feel guilty once, like, what do you mean? What do you mean? I text him, I've known for a while, but I saw the proof today. I'm just shocked. There's a ton to explain. I'm annoyed with myself for allowing you to find out this way instead of just telling you myself. I say, okay. He then says, he manipulated me as well, and I fell for it. To when I then reply, I got so pissed off. How did you get to the point for him to manipulate you? I told you he abused me the day we broke up. Then you texted him that day that I told you that. But I'd rather talk to you about this tomorrow. You met him because he was my boyfriend.
It's absolutely disgusting that James went behind Kayla's back, contacted her ex, invited him to his house, spent time with him, and then he only admitted what happened because he had to, because he actually got caught. Other people saw them together and they brought this to people's attention. Not that these other people are necessarily whiter than white. James Charles's apology video was absolutely pathetic, which is ironically quite surprising because he had to make so many of them in the 10 years that he has been on the internet. He has over 40 million followers. And as you can imagine, some of them are die-hard fans who will not have a word said against him. Well, the only thing I can say that is a lot of them are very young, very immature, and were not around when a lot of other allegations came out about him.
That if I did not find out through TikTok and if this shit was not made public, I do not think I would have ever found out. I don't think I ever would have received a "I felt guilty for weeks" text. I don't think I would have gotten that at all. I do not think I would have gotten an apology or he would have owned up to it and texted me about it if it had not been made public.
All of this has been deeply disturbing. And even though Evan is in prison, he's not actually in prison for this charge. He was found guilty of a DUI, and that's the reason he's in prison. Yes, Kayla won her court case, and he was sentenced to 18 months probation. Probation after all of the things that he did to her, all he got was probation. The only good thing is that he has got a record of the fact that he has been found guilty of ADV. Thank you for watching the video. If you've found it interesting at any point, please hit the like button. Turn on the notification bell, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now.